Welcome back to Nifty 50 Photographers. I'm on the banks of the River Tyne. I'm currently stood in Gateshead. That's Newcastle behind me. And I've come here to do some fine art, black and white architectural photography. Now there's some great buildings and locations around here. I've got the Baltic Art Centre behind me, a former flour mill. There's also the Sage or the Glass House building, which is just the other side of it. And of course the couple of bridges here, the Millennium Bridge and the Tyne Bridge. Now my goal tonight is, it's currently about 7:15. The golden hour is about to start in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So I've got nice light. It's been a clear evening. There's a few clouds about. I'm still going to do long exposures because I want to get a lot of contrast and I want to get that feel of a long exposure in the image. But my real goal is to try and find a perspective that somebody else hasn't done before. And I've had a good trawl through like Instagram, 500px, other photo sharing sites to see what people have done. Now, there's not many black and white fine art shots, so that's something in my favor. But it's really about trying to find a unique perspective, and I'll talk you through some tips on how we'll do that as we go along. So let's have a walk down to the Baltic Flour Mill, and we'll try and find something for our first shot. I've had a good look around this building, and it would be very easy just to take a shot that shows the whole building and shows its architecture. It's a very classic industrial structure, but that's pretty much what everybody else has done. And so what I've settled on is taking a view looking straight up. There is a balcony that protrudes out that gives it some extra shape and dimension. So I'm going to do a long exposure of that looking up. I'm going to set my exposure time for about 5 minutes, as I usually do. If you haven't seen how I do long exposures, I will leave a link to a video up here and you can watch that to get all my technique. I'm going to set my camera up and frame it vertically and try and make use of things like diagonals and leading lines to try and make an interesting shot. Just to let you know my settings, I've set an exposure time of 300 seconds. I'm at f11 and I've got 13 stops of ND filter on there. Going to move on to the next building now, which is the Glass House, which is just around this corner. We'll come to that in 1 second and I'll try and get a photo of that before the sun sets. I'm at the Glass House now. This is a building that's got some wonderful curves, and when you see it from a distance you can see why most people try and get the whole building in. To be honest, I think it's probably best done from the Newcastle side of the river, the other side of the Tyne. After sunset, probably when all the lights are on, you've got some contrast between the lit and unlit areas. So what I've decided to do is a much tighter shot, just featuring one of the curves, because I think that's a bit more unique. I've currently got a 6-stop ND filter on. My camera's set to f16, and I'm doing an exposure time of around 5 minutes as usual. So on both my first 2 shots, I've used a similar technique. I've gone very low and I've looked for a unique perspective. So there's 2 tips you can use for your fine art photography. We do tend to get obsessed with verticals when you're doing architecture because buildings have straight lines in them and it's good to keep them straight. But when you're looking for something different, a unique perspective, then you've got to break the rules. So my next plan is to go over the other side of the Millennium Bridge, get some photos from there. I'm really looking potentially for photographs of the Millennium Bridge and also the Tyne Bridge. One setback I've noticed is the Tyne Bridge is having some repairs done to it, so part of it is covered in scaffolding. Let's have a look around, see if we can find an alternative. Millennium Bridge, I think I'm going to have to do a shot with the whole bridge in. I can't find a different composition, but I think it can be used to frame perhaps the Baltic Mill behind it or the Sage building. I'll figure that out when I get there. On my way walking around, I did spot another photo which I think is really interesting, and it leads me into another good tip for you. And that is about layering your photo, so having a foreground, a middle ground and a background. We've got this scene here which is underneath the bridge. Hold that up, you can see there's the bridge up there. It really reminded me of a lot of photos I've seen of the Brooklyn Bridge. I just thought it makes for a nice interesting scene because the road is leading up away from the quayside into the town centre, and that's giving you all the layers that you want in your photo. So as well as the Tyne Bridge in the foreground, there is another bridge right in the background, which is the railway bridge, and you've also got the street and a nice leading line into your photo. So I'm just setting up to do that. It's going to be about a 300-second exposure, still at f11, but I'm just using a 3-stop ND filter. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to walk back down to the quayside because all the lights are coming on now, and see if I can get some night, maybe a cityscape or a picture of the Millennium Bridge to finish my evening, and then head for home. Doing a final shot of the glass house which is behind me here. Pretty much square on. It's all lit up now, so it's making an interesting shot. There's nice reflections in the water, so that's something else to look out for when you're framing. Don't just look at the building you're framing, look out for those reflections as well, and make sure you capture them in your water, because that's going to add extra contrast. That's it for me this evening. It's around 10 p.m. now. The blue hour is just coming to its end. I've got a lot of nice shots in the bag. I thought I'd just summarize a few of the tips for you. So first of all, then look for verticals. Architecture is all about verticals, and try and keep them vertical. But secondly, when you're looking for a unique perspective, then you can throw some of these rules out the window, and verticals is one of them. So often you will have to go low and to find that unique perspective as well. So that's another thing to look out for. Then the next thing is, remember your rules of composition. You know, all the things like the rule of thirds, golden triangle, leading lines. There are tons of leading lines with architectural composition. They're natural features of buildings and structures, so use them where you can. And then finally, don't forget about building up some layers. Have a foreground, middle ground and background. That's really what nailed it for me when I was trying to find a unique shot of the Tyne Bridge. Started looking up, I was away from the main structure, and I found this little scene that looked a little bit like the Brooklyn Bridge, and that's what caught my eye, and that's how I got the shot I wanted. So I really hope you've enjoyed that video. Hope it's inspired you to go out and do some fine art architectural photography. In the meantime, I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.